does a German philosopher who died in 1976 in a John Wayne movie directed by John Ford have to say about America? Hold on and let me share this video on my new channel, The Barbaric Yalp. To this focus of this vlog, which is the Dasein of America. And this is based only on my reflection and reading of philosophy and theology and psychology and experience as an American by birth, but understanding from my parents the idea of America, what America was. And a lot of that transmission was transmitted through Westerns that my father loved. He loved watching the Western channels. We grew up on Westerns. We loved Westerns. It communicated something in his view and many people's view of what America was. It was a genre, a unique genre, coming out of America, out of the United States, of the being or Dasein of America. It was a story, at least as told through the storytellers. And it resonated with the experience of many people, including my father and me and my family. But yet I grew up in Canada. So that's the only authority I can claim. And if this resonates with your reflection and reading and experience of experience, only then is it true or authentic or not. There's no objective criteria that you can apply and say, well, George, is this true? Well, that makes no sense to be able to say, is it true? Does it resonate with your experience? Our intersubjective sharing of experience of America, does this resonate with you in your reflection? And if it does, it's true. And if it doesn't, America, or at least the America as is revealed in the Searchers, has no meaning. Literally, it has no meaning for you, except maybe as curiosity, and that's perfectly fine. The reason for this is because it's not part of you. It's part of your being in the world. But for those for whom America as a being does mean something, or at least in some kind of vague way, or else you wouldn't have clicked on this video to begin with, this might be illuminated. John Ford's Western, The Searchers, might be illuminated. And for those wanting to understand, you can in some ways throw yourself in, but in doing so, you too will in some way become American, if you will. I don't mean as a citizen or a culture or, waving flags, but a kind of a way of being. You'll understand it as a way of being or a way of Dasein, because really that's all America is an idea that was born out of the Enlightenment, out of some ideals, and it needed to be grounded together and put together. And the Western was a really, really great vehicle to sort of capture this idea. So what does this have to do with the Searchers? Well, I want to examine the film The Searchers that I heard a lot about. It's been reviewed a lot. It's on the top 10 movies of all time. And so I recently watched it. And my brother really recommended that I watch it because he really found it profound. The Searchers really is the quintessential American Western. And it's on the top list of all movies. It's studied in film school for all kinds of reasons. John Ford's use of camera, lighting, cinematography, music, everything. So it really is a work of art. So I want to use the movie The Searchers to explain both Heidegger's philosophy and share my own take of America's Dasein or soul or spirit. Call it what you will, but it is that which is disclosed. So in this first clip, thus is of being thrown into this world. We're not born into it, but we're sort of like in a simulated way through the cinema, thrown into it. Not in a violent way, but in a gentle way. We're kind of waking up and the music is playing and the door is opening and it's dark. It feels natural with it, and we just kind of go with it and flow with it as the camera moves past the main character. She's opening up the door and up. So in the case of this movie, we're being propelled into time. And this is the Western frontier when our world, as America, was still being born. So as the door opens, light begins to emerge, and we see the vista. We also experience other people around us, relationships, people. And then something starts to be revealed. So in other words, as we look at this vista, something is revealed. Something on the horizon is coming to us. It's something familiar, yet it's brand new. A good word for it is it's uncanny and strange, and it takes us a while to adjust to this. And the main character's husband, who's John Wayne's brother, quizzically says, "Ethan? Is that Ethan? I know him, but I don't." So basically, this is the emergence of what we understand of the American spirit, or the Dasein of what America is, in the figure of Ethan, played by John Wayne. And isn't it ironic? At the time this film was made, John Wayne wasn't a megastar yet, but he would become sort of iconic of what America is. So John Wayne, Ethan, is coming, and he's returning home to us as the experiencer of the film, but in another way as a revelation while being out there. And we'll talk about that a little bit. He's been out there, and that's an important characteristic of America. He's been out searching in some ways. The important thing is that something's being disclosed as we look on the horizon, and this is a critical point, as I said, for Heidegger. The American spirit, or the soul, it's disclosed. It's not something we can tell you. We can't say, well, this is America. God bless America. Oh, safe, waving flag. That's not America. The jingoistic, it's not America. We have to see it. It's concealed at first from our vision. Then it's going to be disclosed. And then it's going to be concealed again. And this is always a coming into a presence and a receding. And in this movie, Ford doesn't tell you this, he just shows. And I don't know if he's consciously doing this or not, but Heidegger really helps to analyze and appreciate this film. So view the beginning of this film with all of what I just said in mind, if you can remember that. Basically, we're waking up and being thrown into the world. We know something's being disclosed to us. So just relax, let go, and let the image, history, values come over you. Heidegger would say, don't grasp, don't try to figure something out right away. Just receive the scene as it follows, and things will start to become clear. Okay, are you ready? Because now we're going to be entering this world, this journey. Something's coming to us. It's revealed, the Dasein of America, through the character of Ethan. So here we go.
That's your Uncle Ethan. Welcome home, Ethan.
All right. So we're at home in the world. So in this world, Ethan, as I said, is the personification of the American spirit, the Dasein in this film. He's holding it all together. And we find out he's a violent man. He fought for the South on the wrong side of the Confederate side. So we know this. This is all part of history, right? We know that he was a Confederate and he was that soldier. He has money in the scene. We find out he has this gold. We don't know where it's from. And his brother says, Jesus, it's never been touched. He hates Comanches for reasons we never really know. And herein is the second point for Heidegger. Because we are in time, going back to the first clip, we're in time. We're conscious of death or nothingness. Nothingness is always kind of pressing in on us. Like, oh my God, the world doesn't mean anything. It's always pressing in on us. And out of that nothingness or that force emerges. So it presses on with Ethan too, but nothing seems to captivate him. He's moving and never clinging to anything, whether it's his gold that he ends up giving away, his medals that he gives to Debbie, that's the niece, his Civil War sword, anything. It's just given. He doesn't care. He doesn't seem to care about anything. All are given away. But death, though, comes, and it's always looming. And because this is an American story, there's another on the land, the Native Americans. So the Dasein of America is tied very much to the American Indian who's already inhabiting this land. So these two forces are coming into contact with each other. And how does that work in terms of revealing what is happening? In the movie, the Comanche are burning houses and they're killing, and people are afraid. And in their fear, they're now going to hunt and kill that Comanche. And an important part about the Searchers is that most definitely does Ford not give this simplistic, the cowboys are the good guys and the Indians are the bad guys. No. There is no moral judgment or sentence given. This is the time. There's a conflict. We're watching these things be disclosed. The history is a time of war and conquest. And the untamed, from the point of view of the settler American, of the tamed. And the tamed is actually, as we see this movie, is going to be part of the untamed. And they're intertwined masterfully in this movie. It's about a conflict between the Comanche and the settlers, that's the Americans, who are also shown as different immigrants. You know, there's the Swedish immigrants in it. But it's strangely, but in a strangely settler and American Indian kind of way, there's a unity of some kind of level that can only be revealed in this Dasein. And almost like the secret of their being, of both the indigenous people, is revealed and concealed in each other. It's a really thing. Before we get deeper into these themes that Heidegger talks about of concealment and revealing, as it relates to America's Dasein, I want to show you how Ford shows this in a kind of a more interpersonal way. And we'll see this unconcealment in concealment, what's visible and invisible, what's revealing. That Heidegger brings in as a Greek word, aletheia. So what's aletheia? Aletheia is this kind of coming to presence. We don't actually see it happening, but it's happening. There's this ineffable quality to it. It's like if we plant a seed in the ground, I don't actually see it like growing, but it grows. And that's what he says, aletheia. Like it just grows. Like I can't put a microscope into it. I just see it coming into presence. So in this scene with Ethan's sister-in-law, it's getting things ready as the friend is waiting. Now this is talked about in film schools constantly, about how Ford can communicate something without saying a word. It's all in images and music. So nobody knows anything about what's occurring because we don't know anything in the story as it's occurring, but it's plain to anybody watching. This is part of what Heidegger means by the visible being apparent in the invisible. But if you give voice to it, it disappears. So watch how this plays out between Ethan and his sister-in-law and the friend as he's witnessing it. But if we name it, and we can't name it, it'll just disappear. Such is the nature of how being, in this love maybe, I don't know, is revealed and concealed in the moment, the aletheia. So Ford shows us here. So that is a great scene. Now, as we progress into the movie, the Comanche lure Ethan and company out. And while they are out, they come to kill Ethan's brother and sister-in-law that we've seen in the previous scene and take the daughter captive. And so begins the search, hence the title of the film, The Searchers. They're searching for Debbie. That's the Searchers. And this is the clue that John Ford is giving about what the Dasein of America is. Searching. And it's personified in Ethan, who never arrives. Always searching on the horizon of his time, our time. Ethan is the personification of America that must bring things home into unity. This is what Heidegger means by Dasein. But in our story, the Dasein is revealed through Ethan. Anything not being brought home must be conquered and killed. This, after all, is the frontier. The tamed, the untamed must be tamed. I didn't say that the revelation of America would be pretty. And Ethan is violent, and he's not likable, and he's racist. But we understand his character. That doesn't mean America is racist, or it just is. It's just that's how this comes into place. So after some years and years, they eventually find Debbie. But much to Ethan's chagrin, she's become a Comanche. Uh-oh. The tame must be untamed. The ruly, the unruly. The uncivilized, civilized. This is intolerable for Ethan. She must come home, and if she won't come home and insists on being killed with him, Ethan has to kill her. And as violent as that sounds, that's what Ethan is doing. She's not a settler. She has become a Comanche, and so she must die. It has to be eradicated. I told you the movie would give you the Dasein America. I didn't say it would be pleasant, but there's just revelation. But notice at the time there's something deeper being revealed. The fate and Dasein of America is tied intimately to the American indigenous, the Comanche, the American tribes. They can't exist without one another. Debbie is becoming that. It's becoming, as much as Ethan wants to not have that, it's slowly becoming. They're becoming indigenized. But there's always this conflict. So they're two sides of the same growing and coming into presence and absence. So see how John Ford reveals this process of coming into presence in this scene. Ethan in no way wants Debbie to come fully into being as a Comanche. That's what she wants. She says, these are my people now. This is who I am. So she must be killed. And the nephew doesn't agree. So let's watch this scene as this unfolds.
Debbie?
Und mehr.
Debbie? Debbie, don't you remember? I'm Martin, your brother. Remember? Debbie, remember back. Do you remember how I used to let you ride my horse? And tell you stories? Oh, don't you remember me, Debbie?
I remember. I'm always. First I prayed to you. Come and get me. Take me home. You didn't come.
But I've come now, Debbie.
These are my people. Und mehr. Go. Go, Martin, please.
Stand aside, Martin. No, you don't, Ethan. Ethan, no, you don't! Stand aside.
All right. So Debbie gets away, but it's essential that she be found. And Ethan eventually finds her, and he does bring her home. He finds her, and they return home, and there's loss on all sides for all kinds of reasons. But they found their way back home into the everyday, having something more revealed. Debbie has it within her the Dasein in memory of the Comanche. She can't get it rid of her mind. And now Ford is saying that the Comanche for you too will begin part of the Dasein of you as an American, and now part of the American spirit. It's inescapable. But in the conflict of what America is, in the character of Ethan, who, as I said, is the Dasein of America, I told you that the movie would show you the Dasein of America in the figure of Ethan, and it does in this very last scene. The end of the movie is like the beginning. So relax, let go, and watch what it reveals about America's Dasein from Ethan as he brings Debbie home. And watch what happens to Ethan. So here we go.
Search his heart and soul. Go searching way out there. His peace of mind he knows he'll find. But where, oh Lord, Lord, where? Right away, right away.
All right. There's no home for Ethan. He must go on searching, never coming home. America does not ever want to come into presence. The Dasein of America is to wander the frontiers. That's what it is. Being part of and never arriving. Beginning the scene again. Familiar but different. Looping all the way back. We know him, but we don't. We thought he was a great guy, John Wayne, the Duke, the hero, the cowboy. He's filled with hate and violence. And yet, at the same time, understanding. We can't love him, but we can't hate him because in some way we identify with him. He's mysterious, and there is really no American identity, as it is the identity of the individual, always searching for a coming into presence, for a being that's continually hitting, but the search must come to return home. And for it, Ethan must find and go out again, never arising, always on the frontier of history and life. So that is my take of the Dasein of America. Thank you for listening and for hanging in there this time. If you like this video, the first in my blog, please subscribe, hit like, comment below, and if this works, I'll keep making more. If not, this will just disappear into the ether. Thank you so much.